Let's now discuss two other varieties of exchange rate system, that is, crawling peg and managed floating rate systems. Both of these systems are hybrid of a fixed exchange rate and a flexible exchange rate system that we have already discussed. In an economy with a crawling peg or managed floating exchange rate system, the central bank becomes a key participant in the foreign exchange market. Unlike in a fixed exchange rate regime, the central bank does not have an explicit set value for the currency. However, unlike in a flexible exchange rate regime, it doesn't allow the market to freely determine the value of the currency. Instead, the central bank has either an implicit target value or an explicit range of target values for fluctuation in the currency. It intervenes in the foreign exchange market by buying and selling domestic and foreign currency to keep the exchange rate close to the desired implicit or explicit target values. When target values of exchange rate are implicit and intervention from central bank is discretionary, then exchange rate is said to be managed float. Whereas when target values are an explicit range and intervention from central bank is mandatory, then exchange rate is said to be crawling peg. Let's take an example to understand crawling peg better. Assume that Central Bank of X Island has defined upper limit of exchange rate to be R2 and it will not intervene until the exchange rate in the market lies between R1 and R2, but it will participate if exchange rate in market goes beyond R2. Again, assume that because of sudden surge in demand of pound, there is a rightward shift in demand curve and hence appreciation of pound from R1 to R3. Now here, Central Bank of X Island will pitch in because R3 is higher than upper limit of exchange rate Central Bank of X Island. But this time, Central Bank will only supply pound to bring exchange rate closer to upper limit, that is R2 and not R1, resulting in rightward shift of supply curve of pound and required depreciation from R3 to R2. As we can see, this action of central bank has resulted in restoring the exchange rate in the float limit, that is R1 to R2 decided by central government. It is worth noting at this stage to understand the difference between appreciation and revaluation of currency, depreciation and devaluation of currency. As you must have understood by now that there are broadly two ways to manage exchange rate, that is fixed and floating, and that all other ways like managed float or crawling peg lies between them. Appreciation and depreciation of currency are words that reflects rise and fall in values of currency respectively because of market forces. So these words ties up with free floating or managed float exchange rate regime. On the other hand, revaluation and devaluation of currency are words that generally reflects rise and fall in values of currency respectively because of government decree. So these words are resembled with fixed exchange rate regime.